There are some truly great, mind-bending movies out there right now. If you just scroll through whatever streaming service you're on, you're bound to find something. But if you've seen all the obvious stuff and you want recommendations that go a little deeper, films that will genuinely mess with your head, I've got 6 absolute bangers for you. And real quick, every movie on this list, where to stream it, all of that is in the first pinned comment below. Now, let's get into it.
So what, you're a cop?
I'm a temporal agent. We prevent crime before it takes place.
What is it? It's a time.
Now, my bottom pick on this list is one that I've recommended before, whenever it comes up in conversation, because I genuinely think it doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It's a time travel movie, but not in the way you're used to. Most time travel movies play it safe. Go back, fix something, come home. This one just fully commits to the most insane possible version of its own premise. It takes every paradox the concept has to offer and leans into all of them simultaneously, and somehow it works. What makes it land is not just the clever plotting, it's the performance at the center of it. Sarah Snook is extraordinary in this. She carries some genuinely complex material and makes it feel completely real and emotionally grounded, even when the story is being completely unhinged around her. Ethan Hawke is great too, but Snook is the one you won't stop thinking about. The film is based on a 1959 short story, which honestly makes the whole thing feel even more impressive. The Spierig brothers adapted it and gave it this tactile, period-specific texture, costumes, production design, a real sense of different eras without leaning heavily on flashy effects. It feels grounded even when the story absolutely isn't. Watch it once, you'll be confused in the best way. Watch it a second time and everything clicks into place in a way that's genuinely satisfying. It rewards your attention without being pretentious about it. I love this movie, and I don't think enough people have seen it. That's Predestination.
We are duly appointed federal marshals.
But during your stay, you will obey protocol.
Now, for something with a hard edge and a completely different flavor of psychological discomfort, we've got a Martin Scorsese film that I think gets slightly undersold because people either dismiss it as a twist movie or forget how genuinely, relentlessly unsettling it is from start to finish. This one takes place on a remote island that houses a federal asylum for the criminally insane. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a U.S. Marshal sent there to investigate a missing patient. And from the moment you arrive on that island, the ominous approach by boat, the fog, the imposing architecture, Scorsese just wraps you in dread and never lets go. DiCaprio is doing some of his rawest work here. This is pre-Oscar conversation DiCaprio, just fully committing to a character who is visibly, progressively unraveling. Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, Max von Sydow, the whole cast is stacked. But DiCaprio is the one you're watching fall apart in real time. What I love about this movie is how deeply it's soaked in classic film noir. The suits, the fedoras, the heavy smoking, the buried trauma surfacing at the worst possible moments. It doesn't feel like a modern thriller trying to be retro. It feels genuinely, authentically noir in its bones. And the line between what's real and what isn't gets blurrier and blurrier in a way that's more disturbing than any jump scare could ever be. It gets under your skin. Not a light watch, but an excellent one. That's Shutter Island. Alright, this next one is going to surprise some people because on the surface, it's a sci-fi movie about alien contact and linguistics. And yes, that's what it is. But it's also one of the most emotionally devastating films I've seen in the past decade, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. Denis Villeneuve directed this. The man has basically not made a single bad film. Amy Adams plays the linguistics expert brought in to communicate with alien visitors who've appeared in 12 locations around the globe. She has to figure out their language. That's the premise. Simple enough, right? Except the way this film handles time and grief and the choices we make knowing their consequences, it sneaks up on you completely. You think you're watching a cerebral sci-fi mystery, and then somewhere in the back half, the movie does something to you emotionally that you genuinely didn't see coming. And it hits hard. Bradford Young cinematography gives the whole thing this tactile, grounded quality that keeps it from ever feeling cold or distant, and Johan Johansson's score is doing enormous emotional work throughout, building tension, carrying feeling, landing in exactly the right places. Amy Adams doesn't get enough credit for how much she carries this film on a purely internal level. No big speeches, no dramatic breakdowns, just this deeply felt, quietly extraordinary performance. It's the kind of movie that makes you want to call someone after it ends, just because. That's Arrival. Hey, real quick, before we get to the top 3, if you're still here and your brain is pleasantly melting, first of all, same. Second, have you subscribed yet? I put out recommendations like this regularly, and I genuinely want you here for all of it. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you're enjoying the list, and let's keep building this thing together. Okay, back to it.
You really want to get this guy, don't you?
My wife deserves vengeance.
Now, this next pick is one I've mentioned before, and I'll keep mentioning it because it's one of those films that just doesn't age. Christopher Nolan made this early in his career, and it remains one of the most formally daring things he's ever done, which is saying a lot given everything that came after. Guy Pearce plays a man with anterograde amnesia. He cannot form new memories beyond the few minutes. His entire existence is managed through notes, photographs, and tattoos covering his body. He's trying to solve his wife's murder, using a system he built for himself because there's nothing else. The film tells this story in reverse chronological order. You're dropped into scenes after they've already happened, scrambling to catch up, piecing things together from the back end. It sounds like a gimmick. It is not a gimmick. It is completely necessarily right for this story. And because you're always arriving late to context, just like Leonard is, you feel what he feels. Disoriented, uncertain, trusting people you maybe shouldn't. The technique isn't showing off, it's doing real emotional work. What gets me every time is the underlying tragedy of it. This is a man clinging to purpose and identity when his own mind actively works against him. It's about trust, about memory, about whether we can ever really know what's true. Really sharp, really moving, and it'll make you paranoid about everyone around you, in a fun way. Easily one of the best films of the 2000s and still underappreciated outside of film buff circles. That's Memento.
You're a well-educated man, Coop, and a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
My number 2 pick is one I've brought up before, and I'll keep bringing it up because a lot of people bounced off it in theaters, and I think they missed something genuinely special. This is Christopher Nolan doing something he'd never really done before, making a film that is openly, unashamedly emotional. Matthew McConaughey plays a father and astronaut who leaves his family behind to lead a mission that might save humanity. And Nolan makes you feel every single mile of that distance in a way that's almost uncomfortable. The scientific concept at the center of it, time dilation, the idea that time moves differently depending on where you are in space, becomes the most devastating storytelling device. Short periods on other worlds mean years passing on Earth, and Nolan uses that to gut you completely. There is a scene in this movie, I'm not going to describe it, but there is a scene where time and loss collide in a way that I was not prepared for the first time I watched it. People in theaters were audibly wrecked. I was audibly wrecked. Hans Zimmer's score is doing something almost unfair throughout. That organ, that build, the sheer overwhelming scale of it. It carries you somewhere few films manage to reach. Some people find it too long, too loud, too much. I strongly disagree, and I will defend this movie forever. It's ambitious, it's emotional, it's visually stunning, and it earns every minute of its runtime. That's Interstellar. And my number 1 pick is a movie I've talked about plenty over the years, but genuinely cannot stop recommending because every time someone tells me they finally watched it for the first time, their reaction is always the same. Why did I wait so long? Christopher Nolan reportedly spent 10 years developing the screenplay for this, and you can feel that. The architecture of it, the precision, the layering, the way every piece fits is extraordinary for something playing at this scale to this size of audience. The premise is a corporate heist conducted inside people's dreams, planting an idea in someone's subconscious. That sounds complicated, and it is, but the film walks you through it so methodically through Cobb tutoring his new team member Ariadne that you never feel lost. You feel smart, and then it throws you into city-folding, gravity-defying, corridor-fighting chaos, and you forget you were ever worried about keeping up. DiCaprio is quietly heartbroken throughout in a way that grounds everything. The ensemble, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, Elliot Page, Ken Watanabe, is stacked and everyone delivers. It never feels overcrowded, but what stays with you isn't the action or the visuals, as spectacular as both are. It's that final image, that last shot. The film just leaves you with it and walks away. You'll think about it for days, you'll argue about it, you'll never fully resolve it. That's the point, and that's why it's number 1. That's Inception. All right, that is the full list. 6 films, 6 different ways to have your entire perception of reality quietly dismantled and handed back to you in pieces. Quick recap: Predestination, Shutter Island, Arrival, Memento, Interstellar, and Inception at number 1. All streaming details are in the first pinned comment, and availability does change, so check there before you go hunting. If this list was helpful, leave the video a like. It genuinely makes a bigger difference than you'd think and helps me keep making these. Drop your favorite from the list in the comments, or tell me if I got the ranking wrong. I can take it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.